Mr. Paul from Texas. The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the truth about whether or not Saddam Hussein was trying to buy uranium from Niger has dominated the news for the past several weeks. Many of those challenging the administration on this issue are motivated more by politics than by policy. Some doing the challenging were strongly in favor of going to war against Iraq when it appeared politically popular to do so, but are now chagrined that the war is not going as smoothly as was hoped. I'm sure once the alleged attempt to buy uranium is thoroughly debunked, the other excuses for going to war will be examined with a great deal of scrutiny as well. It's obvious that the evidence used to justify going to war is now less than convincing. The charge that Saddam Hussein had aluminum tubes used in manufacturing of nuclear weapons was in air. A fleet of unmanned aerial vehicles capable of dispensing chemical and biological weapons did not exist. The 63,000 liters of anthrax and botulism have not been found, nor have any of the mobile germ labs. There's no signs of the 1 million pounds of sarin, mustard, and VX gases. No evidence has been revealed to indicate Iraq was a threat to anyone's security, let alone ours. The charge that Saddam Hussein was connected to the al-Qaeda was wrong. Saddam Hussein's flaunting of the UN resolutions regarding weapons of mass destruction remains unproven. How could so many errors have occurred? Some say it was ineptness, while others claim outright deception and lies. There are some who say it was selective use of intelligence to promote a particular policy already decided upon. This debate, I'm sure, will rage on for a long time, and since motivations are subjective and hard to prove, resolving the controversy will be difficult. However, this should not diminish the importance of sorting out the truth from the fiction, the errors from the malice. One question, though, I hope gets asked is, why should we use intelligence cited by a foreign government as a justification for going to war? One would think that with the billions we spend, we could fully rely on our own intelligence-gathering agencies. Another point of interest, lacking a coherent foreign policy, we have support for war coming from different groups depending on circumstances unrelated to national defense. For instance, those who strenuously objected to Kosovo promoted war in Iraq. And those who objected to Iraq are now anxious to send troops to Liberia. For some, UN permission is important and necessary. For others, the UN is helpful as long as it endorses the war they want. Only a few correctly look to the Constitution and to the Congress to sort out the pros and cons of each conflict and decide whether or not a declaration of war is warranted. The sad fact is that we have lost our way. A threat to national security is no longer a litmus test for sending troops hither and yon. And the American people no longer require Congress to declare the wars we fight. Hopefully, someday that will be changed. The raging debate over whether or not Saddam Hussein tried to buy uranium, as important as it is, distracts from the much more important strategic issue of what is the proper foreign policy in a republic. Hopefully, we will soon seriously consider the policy of non-interventionism in the affairs of others. Avoiding entangling alliances and staying out of the internal affairs of other nations is a policy most conducive to peace and prosperity, and one the founders endorsed. Policing the world and nation building are not part of a constitutional republic. And I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back his time. For what purpose does the gentleman from Ohio rise? Objection. The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
I first thank my friend from Texas, Mr. Paul, for his intellectual honesty and consistency and his clear vision on so many foreign policy issues.